All righty, welcome to Zone in Sports, where we cover everything, all sports out there today. How's it going out there today to E on this Mother's Day? Can you hear me there? Out there?
Oh yeah. Can you hear
All
me?
right, how's it going out there on this Mother's Day?
Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
All righty, today, before we get started, I want to send prayers out to Adarius Hayes. Was in a bad accident down there in Florida. I don't know all the details about it. I just know a couple of people lost their lives, a couple of children, and he's in the hospital, but I don't know, the full details. So, but I do want to just give prayers out to his family and anybody else that was involved in that accident down there um, the
Likewise,
other day.
likewise,
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get the
likewise,
cracking.
likewise.
All right, we're gonna get the cracking. We're gonna talk about the Miami Hurricanes defense, and is it good enough for them to reach 10 wins? And the reason why we chose this topic today is because we've been getting a lot of feedback about people don't think the defense is going to be good enough. So I just wanted to touch a little base and just first of all get your thoughts on the defense before we start diving into it.
Well, we got a lot of new faces, on the secondary, and I think this year, more than anything, the defensive line is going to have to make a statement this year. I think with Akeem Mesidor being 100% healthy and slimmed down body fat wise, I believe he and Bain are going to wreak a lot of havoc this year. I think Bain has a lot to prove along with Mesidor and with Heatherman's defensive scheme being a lot simpler than what the previous defensive coordinator had. I think the line is going to set the tone for the defense
Okay.
as a whole.
Okay. And
I like to pick up. I like to pick up. We got a linebacker, the fella we got from Rutgers.
yeah,
Uh,
Mohamed
he's
Torre.
pretty good, man. Yeah, he's really good. He terrorized Miami in that bowl game a couple years ago. So
Right.
I really think he did. So I think overall Miami has done a really good job of filling in what they needed on the defensive line, and I'm just getting through this traffic real quick.
Oh, that's okay.
I understand that there's a lot of holes that need to be filled defensively, and some people are skeptical because of all the new faces. But Miami didn't get any scrubs out the portal, so it ain't like they
No.
got some guys just for depth reasons. They got some real studs on the D line, and they got some real studs at linebacker and in the secondary. So I expect some. I expect more turnovers. I expect more defensive stops this time around this coming season
Okay.
versus last year. I really think they're going to be a, a much improved defensive team.
Okay. Now, I did pose a question in the chat, and I'm gonna ask you the same thing. So, what will decide Miami's fate? Will it be the defense, the offense, or the coaching staff? What do you think is the key to them? What would decide how good they or how great they will be this year?
I think it's a combination of all of it. I think Shannon Dawson uh, is going to tailor this offense to fit Carson Beck. They're going to run the ball more often. They're not trying to replicate last year. Um, Everybody knows Beck is not Cam Ward. Beck is a damn good quarterback,
Right.
uh, but he's not Cam Ward. So people need to not expect Cam Ward type numbers.
Right.
So uh, an improved running game with the defense playing better. I think the special teams will be better. I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. The coaching staff each season has gotten better. Dawson has gotten better each season with the offense.
Right.
They've gotten better. They had really good running numbers last year. And you got Lyle and you got Fletcher coming back, and then you go out and get the number one running back out of North Dakota State. So the running back room should be in the top 10 of the nation.
Right.
One of the top running back rooms in the ACC, if not the best running back room in the ACC. So Miami has a lot of good things going, a lot of favorable things going. So I think it's going to be a combination of all three. I'm not going to pin it all on one. It's going to take all three to win this, man. It's going to take, you got to have all three phases: the coaching staff, the offense, the defense, and the special teams.
Right.
You know, last year it was very one-sided. It was very one-sided last year, and you see what the result was last year being one-sided. So I think, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of everything. It's going to determine what type of season they have. And I believe the defense is going to step up and help out a lot more than what they did last year. And
all right, then we're going to.
Defense can get the. I said,
All
I
right,
was gonna say,
then.
if the defense can get the stop.
Go ahead there.
Uh-oh. I said the defense can get the stops and score some points themselves, get more turnovers this year. I think that's going to be a key. You know, like I said in a previous show, the championship team from 2001 led the nation in turnovers.
Right.
So I think that's going to be critical, the turnovers. Can you get the turnovers?
So, all right. So do you think that, all right, if you had to pick the most, well, who would be the most impactful player that then transferred in that you see, or what position? Because when I'm looking at it, and we know it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, and what pickup do you think that impacted the Hurricanes defense the most that they picked up that we was most in need of, and besides corner? Well, it would be corner, I would think.
Safety.
Safety?
I say safety, man. That's your quarterback in the back.
Okay.
Say the safety, and I say, you know, I think this is a critical season for Bain.
Okay.
It's very critical for Bain. You know, like I said, that defensive line is going to be is going to say a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
If the D line performs, Dwayne, then the offense can relax. They don't have to go out there and throw the ball everywhere. They can slow the game down, use that running game, use that line, impose their will on people.
Right.
But safety, I think, is the most important position on the defense right now, because that is your quarterback back there. They're going to get everybody in position where they're supposed to be. I think they lacked that last year, losing Williams, losing Kinchins. You had guys on safety that were, in my opinion, below par.
Okay.
And that really hurt the team overall.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that they lost some talent. When you lose a couple of guys to the NFL, it's going to hurt you no matter what, especially if you don't have the depth. And I thought they lacked a little bit of depth last year. And then some people, and we'll get into that, will blame that on Mario again, not coaching up guys. But there's a lot of factors that come into play in that. I seen an interesting article, and we touched on this before, where we talked about 5-star athletes versus 3 and 4 stars, sometimes no star athletes, and hidden gems. So I guess the question I would pose to you is, what do you think about the 5 stars, or do you weigh heavily on 5 stars? Do you way, or do you think that we need to give more to 3-star, 4-star guys a chance out there?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both. A little
Okay.
bit of both. Of course, you want the talent. You want the talent, the 5-star talent. You want that. But you got some 3 and 4-star guys that are really good.
Right.
So you can't sleep on these guys. So I really
Yeah,
think
I think Mario doing a good job of balancing it. I know some people in some of the chat rooms don't. They think that Mario is it's not developing good enough. I got you coming in on the other feed. There, there you go. Take me out of there. There you go.
I disagree with that. That's my opinion. Because if you look at the majority of the team, they're high school guys.
Yeah.
You got a lot of young guys, a lot of sophomores.
Yeah.
You got some freshmen. You got some. These guys are getting developed. They only going in the portal to get what they need.
Right.
To plug in what they need. He's not relying solely on portal players like Norvell did with Florida State a couple years ago. Yeah, it paid off for them. They went 13-0, but they lost their quarterback and there went their season. All these portal guys knew they were going to the NFL, so they laid down on them in the bowl game and they got thrashed by Georgia.
Right.
Mario didn't do that. Mario got guys that he knew were NFL potential. This is their last year playing. They got a year left. The majority of these guys came in, got 1 year eligibility left. So they know they're going to have a shot at the pros.
Right.
But 2/3 of the team are returning guys.
Right.
So I don't believe that these guys are going to lay down. The culture is different than what they got up in Tallahassee. The circumstances are different than what was going on up there 2 years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't agree with that assessment by some in our fan base that say Mario is not developing high school talent. That's a complete falsity. You can see he's developing talent. I mean, come on, look at the line.
Yeah.
Look at the O-line. It's arguably the top 2, top 3 offensive lines in the country.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, some in our fan base ain't never gonna be happy. They're gonna find something to cry about and complain about, and it's like, oh man, it's like
Well, it's interesting because I think sometimes I look at the different makeup and the different mentality between the people that transfer out, between linemen and skill players. Sometimes just a different mentality, sometimes a spotlight, it's that instant gratification. I'm not saying that linemen don't have it, but they are wired a little different than a lot of skill players, So when you get some guys that come in and especially I'm talking skill players, you're talking about your receivers and whatnot, they just wire different, and some of them just think they better than what they are when they come in. They don't, and I don't mean better like they're not skilled enough to play. They got to be coached up. They got to be built up. They got to be stronger. And some of them take that as a slight instead of saying, okay, yeah, I need to work in this system, get a little stronger, and get better. And then next year, it'll probably be my turn. It'll be a little different though now with the NIL. I mean, with the transfer portal and some of these guys feeling a little slighted, but I don't think it's any different than it was 20 years ago. It's just more broadcast. You always had to compete.
That's true. And I think another thing with this NIL, if I saw an assessment of the draft, you're seeing each year that goes by less and less guys going into the draft.
Yeah.
And you wonder why that is. It's because of the NIL.
Yeah.
If I know I'm NFL material, but I'm getting paid in college, I could stay all 4 years. I could be a multimillionaire and get my bachelor's degree before I even play one. And now I'm using basketball for an example because the draft in basketball, the numbers have been going down with basketball because guys can stay in college and get paid before they even suit up for an NBA team. And it's the same with the NFL.
Right.
You got
Yeah.
guys that are getting big time money to stay in college, and
And
you
look on the
you
flip
have a
side of
rare
that.
you have
You
a
ain't
rare
got to make a roster. You could stay there. You already got a starting position, and you can go 5th round and may not even make a roster in the NFL. So you might as well stay and get that guaranteed money
It's
for a year or
something,
two.
man. Whether
Yeah.
it's 50 grand or 200 grand or $500,000, depending on how good you are.
Yeah.
And I can graduate from college and I might have a $500,000 to $1 million made before I
Yeah.
even leave school.
Yeah.
You know, and not, like I said before, not everybody's going to get in the league.
Yeah. I think I wish that they had the NIL back in the older days, but I wish that people were not transferring as much as they are now. That's what they got to fix, the people transferring year after year after year. That's what I don't like about it. I think somehow they got to go back to, you got to sit out a year or something, and I'm not saying punish the players, because some players are in bad situations. So everybody's situation is different. But the ability just to get up and just every year you just a free agent, I just think something is intrinsically wrong with that.
I agree. They're going from team to team, hopping around like the Rashada kid.
Yeah.
Well, he on his 4th team now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a cancer, man.
Yeah. And it just makes it look bad for all of football.
It does. I mean, you go to a school, you commit to a school. I understand things don't work out.
Right.
And they open doors for you to leave, and that's fine. But some of these kids are taking it too far.
Yeah.
They're taking it too far.
Yeah.
You're not going to start everywhere you go just because you was a 5-star out of high school. DJU was a 5-star. Look at him now.
Right.
This Rashada kid was a 5-star. Look at him now.
Right.
I told you. You a 5-star. They've been in your face all through high school. You all this, you all that. You missed the football. Where you from? And then you go sign on to play at Georgia or Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State, just to name those.
Right.
And you walk in the locker room, and guess what? There's 3 other 5-stars that's just like you in your position. They was told the same thing where they from.
Yes.
You shit. You all that.
Yep.
You the next great thing at your position. Well, now I'm in a room full of dudes like me at my position. I got 1 or 2 choices to make. I can either stay and compete with these dudes and try to beat them out, or I can transfer out and go somewhere else, because this ain't gonna work for me.
Right.
I can't have my mom and daddy flying all the way to Tuscaloosa or Athens, Georgia, and I'm on the bench.
Right. You can, but I mean,
I'm not used to that.
Right. Yeah.
I ain't used to that.
And that's the makeup of some of the players. Like, they so used to playing where they, like I said, you walk on any campus, but it's that touchy situation. It's like, okay, your parents could probably understand that you have to compete, but you mentally probably can't understand that you gotta.
Because like I said, you coming from somewhere where, look at even the Cantwell kid from Nixa.
Right.
He been told, you the best lineman in the country.
Right.
Number 1 overall high school player for 2026.
Right.
And he's still going to have to compete for a position. He's not going to be given a tackle position.
Heck no.
It's already dudes here that's been playing tackle. You got to come here and see what you can do, where you going to fit in. And
they going to be coming from his head, too, when he come over here. You know what I'm saying? They going to see if he about it. And that's a good thing.
Look at Van Zandt. Dwayne, look at Van Zandt when he went to Mizzou.
Right.
Parade All-American 1986.
Right.
Before
you finish that, for anybody out there that don't know who we're talking about Anthony Tony / Van Zandt. He was a parade All-American in St. Louis City, or St. Louis County.
Same year as Emmitt Smith. They graduated high school the same year. They were both parade All-Americans. He chose to go to Mizzou. I got another friend of mine. He passed away, but he went to Mizzou. He was a freshman, and he told me they was out to get him at Missouri when he got there, because everybody knew Van Zandt didn't like to get hit, because he barely got hit in high school.
Right. And he
They
was
call
running
him
through some big holes.
what they call him smoke, because all you saw was the dust off the back of his
Yeah.
shoes when he was gone.
Yeah.
But when he got to Mizzou, them cats was popping his ass. They was like, "We're gonna see what you all about."
Right.
And that's how it was. It was that way in the 80s. It's that way every year. You coming in as the star dude. Other cats gonna be slighted by that. They gonna see
Right.
what you all about. Oh, you don't like to get hit? You about to get hit now because this ain't high school.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. And that's why I think when I read some of the people in the chat, so they get a little bit upset about some of the guys. I ain't gonna even say upset because I wouldn't be accurate, because I think they know we needed some talent in here. I just think sometimes they don't understand that
They
guy
upset.
that you got coming out might not be good enough to start. That's why this portal guy that's coming in might take a spot, you know.
They upset.
Okay.
I told you that's that small minority of our fan base that's always complaining about something. Why would you sit there and say we're not developing our high school talent? The bulk of the team is high school. Mario
Right.
understands that.
Right.
Understands that completely, and he is developing the high school talent. So, like I said, to say that I think is disingenuous. I think that's just people that are detractors for Mario.
Yeah.
And they're not satisfied with Mario. It's kind of like them Ohio State fans, some of them. They won the national title, but they still mad because they lost to Michigan.
True.
Okay.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because a comment that I read, and it might have been on Kane Sports, a guy said that if Torrey coming in, Torrey, you guys out there, the guy that's coming from Maryland up in New Jersey, if that's the best linebacker we can get, we in trouble. So he was trying to insinuate that Mario doesn't develop his players, and if the best we can get is a guy out of New Jersey, as if being out of New Jersey is a slight, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, we get the best talent wherever you can get it at. I don't care what state you get it
Look
out
at
of.
who's saying this shit.
Yeah.
You didn't have, let me tell you something. Us older fans, we understand. We wasn't complaining when they signed Jesse Armstead out of Dallas, Texas. Well,
True.
nobody in Florida complained about why we going to Texas to get a linebacker.
Yeah.
You went to Texas to get a linebacker because Derek Thomas chose to leave and go to Alabama. How come Jimmy couldn't get Derek Thomas? And like I said, some kids want to leave. They don't want to stay in South Florida. They want to leave Miami. You don't know their circumstances. You don't know what kind of hood they grew up in. Maybe they want to go somewhere different and get a whole different everything.
Right.
Breathe some different air, see some different stuff. Yeah, I understand make the crib great. I get that. I totally get that. But you're not going to get all of them to stay.
Right.
Some of them want to go somewhere different. They might want to go see some snow. They might want to go play.
Real true. Yeah.
Maybe that school got something they offering that Miami don't offer.
Right.
So, I mean, the dude out of Rutgers is a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
The safety they got that was supposed to go to Auburn, he's a beast.
Yeah.
You got to understand that this linebacker that's coming, he played with Heatherman. Heatherman was his coach.
Right.
That's a bonus you getting this dude.
I know.
That's a bonus. What are you crying about?
Hey.
This is a bonus. This dude played under Heatherman. You seen what Heatherman did with Minnesota with guys you ain't never heard of.
Right.
Gave other teams fits, gave Penn State fits, gave Nebraska, everybody they played. They came with solid D.
Right.
With 2 and 3 star dudes. Now he's got cats now that are this much higher than what he had in Minnesota.
Right.
And
hey, I think that before we finish, anybody in the building there, smash that like button and comment on this live we got going. If you got any questions, put it in the chat. But what I was going to tell you, Eden, before you finish was, I think every state is kind of like that, because I can remember when Mizzou was recruiting, people was like, oh, they can't keep the local talent. But when they had that good year, was that 3 years ago or 2 years? They went 10-2 or whatever.
2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, nobody complaining about the local talent, keeping the local talent. Then, they had a couple.
When they was good, when they had the year with Macklin and Oh boy, at quarterback.
Oh
When
yeah,
they beat
yeah,
Oklahoma and beat Kansas on that big game in Kansas City. Same thing.
yeah.
What's keeping kids in Missouri now is the fact that they're in the SEC.
Right, right.
Now and Missouri still ain't gonna get all the top talent
No,
because
no.
other schools gonna come in there, Notre Dame, Ohio State, they gonna come into Missouri. They want to get that wide receiver out of CBC.
Right.
They want to get some of them linemen that come out of Cardinal Ritter or Lutheran North.
Yep.
All
Yeah.
them East St. Louis dudes ain't gonna go to Illinois.
No, oh hell no. Even though I'm not no shade against Illinois because they had a
Illinois, Bielema got Illinois playing. They're a better
yeah,
team, but guess
yeah,
what?
yeah.
You still, you got a lot of talent out of Chicago. That don't mean they all going to go to Illinois.
Right. And then that's what we try to say about the
South Florida kids. Not all
right.
of them are going to stay.
You say you damn if you do, you damn if you don't.
You can't please them all. Like I said, you might be from Liberty City or Murder Gardens, Miami. Miami Gardens, they call it Murder Gardens for a reason.
Right.
I might want to get up out of here.
Right.
I might want to go play in Gainesville or Tallahassee. I might want to go play in Austin, Texas.
Right.
Or go up to Minnesota or Wisconsin. Or go out to UNLV or Fresno State. Ain't no telling, man. Other schools have offers. It ain't just about the money. Some kids just want a change of environment.
Yeah.
Not
and
all of them.
I don't knock the kids for that because first of all, we don't know their connections. A lot of these guys come out of Pop Warner or as we call it up here, JFL, however you want to describe it. And they got connections all out through the state. They got pipelines. And sometimes we already know like the IMG and we know like the East St. Louis and we know certain schools just have pipelines to certain schools or certain conferences. So it's just like that, no matter how we want to look at it.
Mario is getting back to what Butch Davis did. You gotta tap into the right kids who are hungry, who want a certain thing.
But people wanted Butch Davis fired too. Remember, they was bitching about Butch.
Again, Butch go out and get guys like Reggie Wayne and Santana Moss and DJ Williams, and he end up getting Portis and McGahee and Sean Taylor decided to stay home. Frank Gore decided to stay home.
Right.
Dorsey and DJ came all the way from California. He was looking for a certain crop of kids and really pitching it to them. And they decided to come to Miami. Portis and Dorsey could have went anywhere.
Yeah.
They come all the way from California. They could have went anywhere. It's a lot of guys that's going to leave Miami that's not going to stay. Now, whether it's because there's a certain coach that's there or a certain coach, like I said, when Randy Shannon got fired, a lot of dudes bounced. They wanted to come to Miami because of Randy Shannon.
Right.
But when they fired him, a whole lot of them said, I'm out.
Yeah.
A lot of them went to Florida State. A lot of them went to Louisville. Yeah. And there you go.
Manny Diaz left. Same thing. You had guys leave with Manny Diaz. You had guys leave with Rhett Lashley went over to SMU.
You knew Lashley was going to take some dudes with him over to SMU because to me, I think he was the best OC since Jed Fish. And Jed was only there for 1 year.
Right.
I said, if Jed would have stayed a couple years, my man at quarterback, Stephen Morris would have been. Stephen Morris was nice. That leg injury hurt him. Stephen Morris could flick that ball with his wrist and throw it 50 yards. Dude was nice, man. You had Stacy Coley. They had some teams, man. But at the time, you was competing with Florida State. They was top dogs. Clemson was starting to come on. Bama was already there. They was already giving money and cars under the table. Miami wasn't doing that. They was going through the Nevin Shapiro backlash and dealing with the NCAA. Like I said, Miami always fighting against somebody, including themselves. A lot of times they couldn't even get out their own way because of the administration.
True.
Because you had people in charge they didn't care about football.
Right. This one says, to answer the question picked at the top of the chat, I think every phrase of the team, kind of like what you said, the offense, defense, special teams, and coaching will decide our fate. A lot of the changes to work on, to go through.
Last year, we relied on the offense, and 9.5 times out of 10, the offense saved the day.
Yeah.
Except for Georgia Tech and Syracuse. we don't want to have to rely on one facet of the team.
Right.
I want to be able to say, okay, if Miami go out there and they lay a goose egg on this drive, the defense can go out there and make a stop,
right,
or force a turnover. Okay. Or if Miami only get 3 versus 7 with a field goal, the defense can go out there and force a stop,
right,
or force a turnover, or they punt the ball or kick off to Miami and we can get a touchdown to kick off.
right. He
Yeah,
said,
Mr.
Lashley
Powell,
can coach.
Lashley can coach.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been unhappy if he was the head coach of Miami if they wouldn't have got Mario.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was saying, so it's going to take a little bit of every phase of that team, including, right. And I'm gonna say it again, Mario and him and Dawson have gotten better with each year.
Yeah, I agree.
They've gotten better with clock management without wasting I didn't see any stupid timeouts being wasted last year, bad clock management that I can recall.
Right.
We all know what sunk that team last year. We ain't got to talk about it again.
Yeah, we know.
We know what sunk that team.
Right. And like no debate over that. It says, what do you think about this year's team?
And they fixed that.
He said, what do you think about this year's team?
I'm cautiously optimistic that this team could go at the very worst the same as last year, 10-2.
10-2.
But
that was what I picked up. And then you guys, that's why I put the thumbnail up, like, and basically I was trying to frame it like, if we go 10-2, what will stop us? Will it be the offense? Will it be the defense? Will it be it could be a combination of all, but we know last year it was pretty much the defense, so
I'm cautiously, semi-cautiously optimistic about this team. I'm not going to jump in and say, yeah, could they go 12-0? Yeah, I think they could if they play. If every phase of the game, if each phase of the team plays the way they're supposed to play, I don't see a team on that schedule that they can't beat.
Right.
Now, are there going to be some teams that's going to give Miami a challenge? Always.
Yeah.
Syracuse is going to come down to South Florida. They're going to give Miami a challenge. Louisville always gives Miami a challenge.
Right.
It's going to be a challenge going to Dallas and playing at SMU. I don't feel a certain way about Notre Dame and Florida, even though they're non-conference games. If I had to lose 2 games, let it be those 2 games, and you run the table in the conference.
Right.
But those are the teams, and playing at Pitt the last game of the year.
Yeah, that's always.
That's going to be a challenge. It's going to be cold up there. But like I said, I think if these kids play to their potential and they're coached up, like I know they are coached up, and they lean on what is their anchor.
Right.
Those lines on both sides of the ball are the anchor. Your running back is your anchor. Run that ball. If I'm going to get 4, 5, 6 yards a clip, I'm going to keep running this ball.
Right.
I got 2 tight ends that are lethal. Just protect Beck. I don't expect Beck to make mistakes like he did last year, because last year Carson Beck had to run for his damn life.
Right. Yeah, he didn't have a good
same
line.
way Cam Ward had to run for his life at Washington State.
Right.
Now our team's gonna blitz Miami. They got the Ward a few times. Virginia Tech got the Ward.
Right.
This ain't the days where Dorsey didn't get touched.
Right.
But Dorsey, they didn't throw the ball a whole lot because you had Portis and Najee and McGahee behind you, and Jared Payton behind you. There it is. Plus, they ran a lot of I formation and they wasn't in shotgun.
Well, yeah, they wasn't in the shotgun a lot.
I wish Miami would do that more, not be in shotgun so much. But having said that,
right.
I think Carson Beck, I keep hearing the pundits talk about his arm.
What up, DP?
Is he going to be ready? What's up? What about his elbow? He didn't play in the spring. So what? Right. DJ Lagway didn't play in the spring either.
But I want to go back to something you said, because I don't know, maybe because I'm from the Midwest rooting for Miami. I care about losing to Notre Dame. I ain't gonna lie.
I do too. I'm just saying.
I just got a disdain for Notre Dame.
If we had to lose a couple games,
well, I know, I know.
Let it be the non-conference games, and then you go 10-0 in conference. You're going to see, more than likely, you're going to see Clemson, unless I was watching stuff on Clemson.
Right.
Their O-line That's their Achilles heel. Is that they got some really good wide receivers, but their O-line didn't hold up against A&M. Their O-line didn't hold up against Texas in the playoff.
Right.
That's the key for Miami. That offensive line.
Right.
If they live up to the billing of what they're supposed to be, and give Carson Beck the time and make the holes for Lyles and Fletcher and the other young guy that came in, where they're gonna get 4, 5, 6 yards a pop, if not more, running.
Right.
That's gonna open the doors for a lot of things if you got that running game going.
Right.
So I'm like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic. I can see 12-0. Am I going to say 12-0? No.
Nah.
I'm not going to jump out and say that right now.
I told you I have to really wait to see what that defense is going to be like at the beginning of the year.
I want to see the first game. Going to say a lot.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys down in the South, like, and the reason why I say Notre Dame, and Eric, no, I'm just joking a lot about this, but no, I truly don't like Notre Dame. But
I don't like Notre Dame.
But the point is, up here in the Midwest, we get a lot of, Notre Dame, Channel 5, NBC, it's like big time up here in the Midwest. So, you just kind of, when you're a Miami Hurricane fan up this way, you just got that built-in tension. So, that's why it's one of those big things. I tell you, if we win that first game, boy, I'm just going to act a damn fool. Trust me. I'll act a damn fool. It says D-line will be huge this year. We need them to really be a force.
I said the same thing, Mr. Powell. I said that defensive line is going to set the tone for the defense.
Yeah.
And that boy that's a sophomore, what's his name, Justin Scott?
Yeah. Yeah, it is Justin.
5-star.
Before you say something, somebody put in my chat, they was like he was garbage. And I was like, well, wait a minute now. All right. I'm just going to leave it alone on that one.
First of all, he wasn't a starter. He didn't play. He rotated in.
Right.
As a freshman. Whoever said that, they entitled their opinion. But
yeah,
you got to look at it like this. You got a healthy, leaner Bain on one end.
Right.
You got a healthy, leaner Mesidor on the other end. Then you're going to have him and the other dude at tackle.
Right.
These 4 dudes can really
wreak some havoc.
They can make some good with these linebackers you got behind you now. And that secondary,
man,
that can cover.
Hey, yeah.
I remember I was at your house for that game in 17. Of course I remember. He was downstairs like,
oh yeah, you was. Yeah, sure was.
At your house.
Yeah.
I ain't forgot that.
Yes, sir.
But no, I really think that the defensive line is going to set the tone. And I'm very interested in seeing this defense. I'm looking forward to seeing this defense to see what they can do.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to seeing this, man. I'm looking forward to fall practice because fall practice is gonna say a lot before we even get to Notre Dame.
Yeah, it will. It's gonna say a lot. It say Moten is
gonna make some, and Moten is defense. So you got Moten in tackle and Justin Scott at tackle.
Right.
Yeah, I already said Scott is just these dudes are leaner, less body fat. You'd be amazed how you move when you lose 10 pounds of body fat.
Right. Yeah.
Even us who don't play sports, you got more energy. You're not as tired.
Right.
All these dudes have gotten leaner and stronger at their respective positions. So you got Moten, Mesidor, Scott, and Bain starting. Come on, man. As long as these dudes don't get hurt.
Donovan Reed says, Louisville and Pitt got the 2 best backs of the ACC.
Okay.
You say if you agree. Now I want to go back to Roddy Powell here. And it says the back end has to get fast. I think under Heatherman's scheme, they're going to play fast. Like I said, we said that a lot of it is not going to be a read or react. So they'll be able to play faster, the people that he got. Well, and they fit his scheme.
Ronnie's right. They do have to jail, but I think, again, that's what fall practice is for.
Right.
That's what the fall practice, when they get in them pads after them first few days of not wearing pads, and they get in pads out there and they start hitting and they start talking and communicating with each other and playing against the first and second team offense. That's going to tell you right there.
Right.
Like I said, we got some dudes now. Whether
say Scott is about 305.
and that's fine. Hey, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take 305 and lean and strong versus 315, 320 and slower.
yeah,
And like I say, it's dude got good handwork and very good footwork. You
Yeah.
need that playing defensive tackle.
yeah,
Somebody gonna command a double team. You only got a guard, two guards, two tackles in the center.
right.
So I got 4 versus 5. Somebody gonna get double. If it's Bain getting double with a tight end and a tackle, okay, that's gonna leave one-on-ones for everybody else.
Right.
Usually the center gonna help the guard out with somebody.
And we
Well, that's
still
gonna
not
leave
talking about Blay either, because they say, Blay pretty quick off the ball too.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, we got some monsters up front.
They got some dudes, man.
Yeah, they got some monsters up front. I think they're going to be okay. Say Miami got the best running backs in the ACC.
I was if they ain't the best, they right there with them.
Yeah,
because Fletcher done the same thing. He's dropped some body fat. He's dropped some like 10 pounds or something.
right.
So he's moving differently.
Yeah,
And Lyle is your home run dude. And I think Fletcher, with him dropping the weight, he could be,
yeah.
strong back. He ain't just no power short yardage back.
No, that's why they brought old boy in.
He got some skates too, man. So I like I say, I think we're gonna be all right this year. I think everybody need to just digest what happened last year and table that.
Yeah.
Last year was last year, but some of our fan base, what they
Well, I think a lot of them are a little nervous because of the unproven talent. So they say unproven talent, and unproven is a lot of them.
Only unproven talent to me would be a freshman.
Yeah.
Or a sophomore who hadn't played. If I got a dude that came out that's already been playing at Rutgers or already been playing played at Georgia or played at Liberty at receiver or played at BYU and they put up the numbers, I'm not worried about that. They're going to do the same thing in Miami. They're going to do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's my thing. It's like that on-field experience. You can't beat that no matter where you get it at. If you on the field playing, getting that experience, you see it a whole lot different than somebody on the sideline that's not in the game. And I know what people saying. They say, well, how you going to get experience if they won't let the young guys play? You guys got to beat guys out. Like I said before, you have to beat them out and get that experience. If you can't beat the guy, well, hell, I don't want you on the field. So it's just that simple.
Right.
It says the running back Marty Brown is a tank. Who is Marty Brown? Marty Brown?
That ain't the dude from San Diego. North Dakota State.
I didn't think his name was Marty Brown. Is his name Marty Brown out there, DP? From San Diego State? He'll let us know. He'll tap it in. But yeah, I just thought that it's just interesting that a lot of fans, they kind of get on they get kind of a little bit nervous about the experience. Some of the younger guys, I know they itching to see like JoJo and these guys have breakout year. Okay, Shamar Brown, there you go.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
This JoJo year, man.
Oh, okay. I didn't know his nickname was Marty. Thank you, DP.
Okay. This JoJo year, JoJo showed you in the bowl game what he can do.
Right.
He just couldn't get much time because you already had, Restrepo out there and Sam Brown out there, and you had Horton out there, and you had George out there. But JoJo, him, and I think the receiver from Liberty, the receiver from BYU, Malachi Tony, Ray. I'm not worried about the receiver. I know all the national pundits talking about, well, who's Carson Beck going to throw the ball to? They always got to find something negative on Mike.
Well, yeah. I'm not even going to say I'm worried. I just think it's going to be a healthy competition to see who get that X position, slot position, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be really nice.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, if I wanted to see something, I would love to see that position, that battle for that position there. And the D-line position, because I still think that you still got some guys that's just trying to fight to get on that field too. So,
and that's what you want, man. You want this competition. You don't, damn all this playing around and All that happened on the Diaz. Now it's, this is Mario year 4.
Right.
It's time to get down to business. You got teased with it last year.
Right.
You got teased with it. You got your head pumped up, and it was a hard crash.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got the number 1 offense in the country. You got the number 1 player and quarterback in the country. You got the that was a hard pill to swallow for all of us. Watching that Syracuse game was disgusting, to say the least. Okay.
I'll just say the hardest thing for me is just knowing how good the offense was, and the defense couldn't even
stop a fucking runny nose.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hardest thing to me, to have one side of the ball to be that good, and the other side is just to be
that bad.
Yeah, just that bad.
I'm not even gonna say the whole defense, man. Like I said, about before,
the secondary, yeah.
The secondary just, but anyway, this year, people need to be patient. It's okay to be optimistic. Stop being pessimistic. Stop crying about Mario not developing talent. That's foolish.
I don't know how patient they're gonna be. E. I'm just
looking. We know how it is. It's 2 things you just. Let me tell you something. It's 2 things you can count on with Miami every year.
Okay.
Number 1, all them hoe ass fans in Tallahassee gonna always come at us no matter what.
True.
And number 2, you're gonna have 10 to 20% of our fan base that's gonna cry about everything. They're gonna cry and continue to cry. Cry about everything all season long, win or loss. They're gonna find something to cry about.
Yeah.
It's the other 80 to 90% of the fan base that's realistic.
Yeah.
All of us older ones who have seen the process before. I mean, come on, don't get me wrong. I want to win too. I've been waiting.
Right.
I've been waiting. Just like you. I've been waiting. After 01 and 02, it was like, okay, after 02, even with 03, it's like, we wait, okay. After Coca got fired, it was like, all right, Randy gonna get it done.
Right.
And at that point, I don't blame Randy Shannon for everything. Miami was going through a lot of stuff.
Right.
Internally and externally. I've said this before. Miami has a lot of different people taking shots at them.
Yeah.
Outside of the school. If it's not other schools, it's the NCAA. It's the very conference you play in. For the umpteenth time, it's this freaking cable sports network that's broadcasting. They, naysayers, naysayers.
Yeah.
So every year Miami is going to have this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately today, to win a national championship is going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's no
a lot of money
around with
when
it.
When you got schools like Texas that got oil money that go all the way damn near to China, they trying to put forth. They got a $40 million roster.
Right. Yeah.
College.
Yeah.
They got a semi-pro. They got a damn St. Louis Battlehawks UFL type roster.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
They
want to win a national championship, man.
It says our fan base is the most non-knowledgeable fan base in college football. Asking for a number 1 wide receiver, we get CJ Daniels. Mario's developing talent. Y'all don't know what y'all talking about.
You right. Some of them.
Some of them. Yeah.
They're a minority, man. They a minority. Right. And I drown them out.
It's hard for me. I
usually check their ass and then move on.
It's just hard for me.
We got enough battling with them chumps up in Tallahassee always running their mouth, because no matter what happens, they always taking shots at Miami, and they can't even focus on what they doing. Right. They always gonna come back, and then you might have some scrubs from Gainesville come out of nowhere with this. Okay. So the small minority in our fan base that cry like that, I just check their ass and keep it pushing, because most of us who understand the sport realize what's going on.
Well, I just hate when they take it out of context. That's what makes me get.
Well, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that. You're gonna have that in football. They took it out of context with the basketball with Larranaga.
Yeah.
No, he ain't on the hot
He
seat.
said, yeah, it's Mario on the hot seat if he doesn't win this year.
Man, he would have to go 2-10 to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think
They would have to crash and burn this year. We would have to be doing this show in 8 months, sitting there like this.
With a beer in our hand.
Matter of fact, bowing out for the weekend, like, hey man, I ain't even gonna get on the air today.
Hey, I'm gonna just come on and take my beating. That's what I'll say.
Mario ain't on the hot seat, man. Mario is ascending.
Yeah.
He's going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so too. You can't have well, I will say I'm not gonna say you can't have a 10-2 season and not be on the hot seat, because if you was at Penn State or some of these other ones, but
Franklin ain't on the hot seat. You would think he should be, but he ain't. They can't win. He can't win the Big Ten title to save his life. But they always 10-2,
right.
10-2, and they go to the playoffs. He ain't going nowhere. They feel safe with him.
They say that's a lot of beers. That's only if they lose. It doesn't be a lot of beers.
No, he ain't on the hot seat, man. Norvell's seat hot. Your boy in Florida, his seat, Napier, his seat is still hot.
Yeah, super hot.
You know what I'm saying? So, no, Mario is fine. Mario is smart.
Yeah.
We said this last week. The man is smart. He ain't stupid. He didn't take this job. He could have stayed at Oregon.
Yeah.
He could have stayed with the talent they got up there and the talent he had coming in, and he would have been coming down here getting some talent from Florida. He could have stayed at Oregon and probably won a natty by now, or at least been in the natty game.
Yeah.
Or won another Pac-12 title before they switched over to the Big 12, Big 10.
Right. And then just think, if he would have been in the Big 10, the recruiting he could have got done in the Big 10.
Mario ain't dumb. He know what he's doing. He knows this is bricks. He got to put the bricks together to build a wall. And now you built 2 walls, one on the offensive line, one on the defensive line. You got to start there.
Right.
You can't have all these. You can't have all these skilled players, and then your line. I mean, that's what happened with Stephen Morris. You had all the skilled players, and Stephen Morris was a good quarterback, but Al Golden didn't have the trenches like he really wanted them.
Right.
Outside of his first year, and then after that first year, a lot of them dudes on that 2011 team went pro. So he had to rebuild, and they didn't get the top lineman. And then when he finally got Mario on his staff, Mario was there a couple months, and then he bounced for Bama.
Right.
And then Bama got their line together.
And he got talent out of South Florida. So shoot, you can't. Hey, one thing about Miami, we like the Yankees. You love us or hate us. We ain't no in between. Oh yeah, ain't no in between. Yeah, true. Hey, I agree with you there, Rodney. It's one of those things that I always say, and we joked about this probably a couple of months ago. I said I could be out at the airport or traveling, and somebody see this hat on, and they always throw it up to you. No matter where I go, I could be.
Ain't with me.
Midwest, upper Midwest,
anywhere.
West Coast.
Shit, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, wearing Miami shit, and people throwing up to you. I don't care where I go. It's so that's what tells me, everybody talk about the A for Alabama or the Clemson Palm. Like, look, Miami is a brand.
Yeah.
Schnellenberger said he want that brand to be as famous or more famous than IBM.
Right.
And it's a brand. I was over in Germany wearing Miami gear. You think it wasn't recognized?
That's what I'm saying.
Some of the German people don't know what the Miami U logo is. Come on, man.
And that's why I try to tell the fans, especially the guys that don't get out of the Florida area or somewhere, man, Miami love in so many places you don't even know. Like I said, you can go upper Midwest, you can go up north.
Out west.
Yeah, out west.
I don't care where you go. People know that you.
Right.
They know what that is. They know what that is. They know who came from there. If it's the younger fan base that's only been in the game a couple 20 years, they know all about Sean Taylor and Ed Reed. And if you got the older fans like us, they know who Cortez Kenny was.
Yeah.
They know
Eddie
who
Testaverde,
right.
Steve Walsh.
They know you grew up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, wearing Miami shit. They know who Bubba Franks is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
They know. I go over to Indy to watch an NBA game. They know who Reggie Wayne is.
Right.
Okay. They know where he came from. I don't care where you go. So, like I said, our fan base, the ones that's crying, hey, they're going to cry anyway. Miami could go 13-0, win a natty. They're going to find something to whine about. Like I said, it's the same as with the Ohio State fans. Some of
Yeah.
them. You got a minority. Same with Texas and Oklahoma. Texas could win everything, but if they lose to Oklahoma in that river shootout,
Right.
we're gonna have some mad people in Texas.
Right. And you know, the funny thing, I want to touch a little bit on I don't know if you read a little bit about the NIL, not the NIL, the college football championship. And we kind of touched on this a couple of weeks ago, and they're trying to make this push after it expires, which is this year, to move it to 16 teams. Four for the Big Ten, four for the
Big 12.
SEC,
Yeah.
2 for the ACC, 2 for the Big 12, and then your automatic qualifiers from the other ones. And then it's so.
Well, why does the Big Ten get 4 and the SEC get 4? You see what I'm saying? There's the cable sports network and they bullshit.
Yeah, and I read that the first 2 get if I read it correctly, I have to go back and read the article, but I thought it said the first 2 from the SEC and the Big Ten get buys. So the conference winner and runner up.
See, that's all them, dog. That is all ESPN doing.
Yeah, I mean, and when I read that, and I'm thinking like, unless you try to create a super conference, how do you know that?
You want that anyway.
How do you know that Miami, Clemson, and Florida State in one year couldn't be the best teams in the country, but only can get 2 in? You know what I'm saying? Like, so how do you know this? You know, it's just crazy how
there's a chance they don't play each other, or one play the other, and maybe one lose to the other one close, and then they all finish, 12-0, and maybe 2 teams 12-0, and one of them is 11-1, losing to one of them.
Right? Yeah.
You gonna leave them out?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So it's all just trying to negotiate behind the scenes. So I just thought that was interesting. Say Miami will always be the villains. Yeah. Like I said, if you talk to older people that are not Miami Hurricane fans, all they could bring up is just negative stuff. And, they bought in the hype, especially up here in the Midwest, about being thugs or, the convict thing and stuff. Like that was a real thing that we had to go through, that we had to listen to up here, and I can't even imagine what you guys was hearing down there.
The thug thing came from back in the 80s when Snellenberger and then Jimmy stayed home and got all the dudes out the hood.
Yeah.
And they was just smart enough to come to class and pass their classes to get in there. But they brought that extra juice, that extra moxie to the team. Because remember, Miami used to be the team they used to get whooped on all the time.
Right.
And when they started doing the whooping on your Notre Dames and Oklahomas and
Nebraskas, yep.
Then all of a sudden now they thugs.
Right.
They're the thugs now because he went and got some dogs out the hood.
Yeah. And what you need, dogs.
You got to have some dogs on the team. I don't care if they from the hood or if they from the country. You got to have some dogs on the team.
And we know some country dogs too. So
it might be a boy out in the country that's a real dog. He might have that heart. He might have that intangible feature that you want.
Yeah.
Okay, I want him too.
Yeah. I mean, it is. Say they really want us to be like the AFC and the NFC. Talking, I guess, referring to the conferences. Yeah, I agree. They kind of
if like I said in the previous show, if they want to model like that, if they try to mimic what the NFL is, then they need to get rid of 2 things. They need to get rid of conference championships, number one, get rid of those, and they need to get rid of this committee. They need to get rid of the committee.
Well, conference championships, they already try to get rid of, I think.
They need to get rid of the conference championship because that's a fucking meaning. If you finish in first place in your conference, you win your conference or you win your division. No. I don't need a championship to say, okay, for what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, I just think that's just that's all the money.
If Miami go 12-0 undefeated, and or I should say, if they go 10-0 in their conference, and Clemson go 10-0 in the conference, then it come down to points or who gonna win this or tiebreaker, who wins the conference. We don't have to have a conference championship game
Right.
And then we got this BS committee. They the ones who picking. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care what anybody say. Indiana did not belong in that playoff.
You're going to open up that can of worms. I went down there, boy.
It could be earthworms, maggots. I don't care. Indiana didn't belong in that playoff. I don't care. You know?
Yeah, because did they get smoked by Ohio State? And then they
the
get
only people that say they belonged in there are other Big Ten people.
Well, that's because they think that their conference is so much better than everybody. But yeah, they the only people that say crap
They didn't
like
belong in there.
Yeah,
They didn't belong in there. They didn't belong in there. I would have rather seen Miami or Alabama in there than Indiana. Indiana bowed out.
yeah. I didn't think they did. I just think they didn't have enough.
SMU didn't make the playoff, did they?
No, SMU made it. They lost to who did SMU lose to? Penn State or who did they lose to?
Penn State.
Yeah. I think they lost to Penn State. Yeah, and they didn't look good out there at all. You know, SMU didn't. Played a better second half, but I think Penn State was just a little bit too strong for them in the trenches. You know,
there it was.
Yeah,
in the trenches they strong.
Yeah, they was a little bit too strong for them because they was on the quarterback ass that game. You know,
so Miami people, the fans that's crying need to chill.
Yeah,
because Miami is dominating in the trenches, and Lashley lost a lot of people, and I don't think the SMU offensive line is going to be able to hold up against Bain, Moten, Mesidor, and Scott, and the guys rotating in.
Right.
I'm not worried about the SMU game. So
there's a lot of people that are. I don't know why, but
why? Brashard Smith gone.
Yeah, it says Miami Hurricanes defense key is dominating defensive tackles to take on two O-line pressures, disrupt QB backfield, then linebackers, DNs, DBs, Ds sack, quarterback tackles for loss, running backs easier coverage for DBs. Well, that's the keys to dominating. Okay, yeah, I agree there.
I said that.
Yep. I mean, and like you say, I just think a lot of things going to come together. They got the newer pieces coming together, and I just think that it's going to all come together. And like I said, that first game, I think they're going to come out something. I think this defense is going to come out with a chip on their shoulder and something to prove after last year.
Set the tone and set the tone early because they got something to prove, man.
Yeah. And sometimes
all these individual guys got something to prove based off of last year.
Yep, and that's what I agree.
Because they wasn't, Bain wasn't 100%, Mesidor wasn't 100%, and Mesidor was playing more interior than his natural position. Scott wasn't getting he was just rotating in. He wasn't the consistent player, starter. I'm not saying the linebacker play dropped off. All I'm saying is under Lance Guidry, Basaint and Maui Noga had to go and do different things.
Right.
Versus the year before.
Right.
2 years ago, Francis Kiki had better numbers at linebacker. And people were saying, well, why did he regress at linebacker? Because he was too busy trying to cover tight ends and running backs.
Yeah.
You didn't have your two safeties back there anymore. When you had Williams and Kinchins back there, him and Basaint were more free to do their thing at linebacker, which is be run stoppers or play sideline to sidelines, that underneath flat stuff.
Right, yeah. I just think that wasn't a strong suit in coverage. So,
but when your secondary is boo-boo, you got to go back there and help.
Right, yeah. You got to do stuff that you're not used to doing. So
right, that's right.
It says if D tackles do not dominate, linebackers will be blocked by opponents' O-line, run up the middle 4 to 6 yards per attempt, first downs. Yeah. I mean, they don't dominate. Yeah, we hoping that they do. So,
and I want to see also from Heatherman on the defense if he blitzes, what type of blitzes does he run?
Right. And I'm hoping he can get to people without blitzing. But if he does have to,
that's the thing. I think they want to see that. Can these 4 guys up front raise enough hell on the quarterback and get him out of pocket, get him uncomfortable, get him on his heels, that's going to say a lot.
Yeah, because the young man they brought in from Tennessee, they said he was a good blitzer off the corner. So hey, you get guys that can make plays.
I'm interested to see what Heatherman's going to do at D coordinator. What type of different schemes he's going to run. His defense is a lot simpler than Guidry's.
Right. Sometimes simpler is better.
Oh yeah. Just play your keys and attack.
Right.
Hit and rap. There it is, hit and rap. That's
all right. We got about 30-some guys in the building. Smash that like button. And if you ain't subscribed to the channel, please do so. All right. So we're going to move on. So we already talked about the Muhammad coming over. We talked about the 5 stars, the hidden gems, which I thought was an interesting conversation because it was a report that out of your 5 stars, you got a 63% chance of going to the NFL. And if not a 5-star, I think it was like 30 something, but don't quote me on the 30 something. I know it was 60 something with the 5 stars. But of course, it's less 5 stars than less people get a 5-star rating than 3-star, rating. But you'll have more 3 stars in the NFL. So the point that I'm making is that, yeah, you have talent. The odds are come out in your favor, even if you get 3-star athletes, that you can get some through. You can get lower star athletes to get to the NFL.
You got a lot of dudes that's 3-star. They could have been 4 and maybe the verge of 5.
Yeah.
But these are cats that are good and they right like under the radar.
Yeah.
It's like they're right under the surface of the water. They're right there.
Right.
You don't pass up on these dudes. These are the dudes Mario got that they are developing.
Right.
For the
and on top of that, you got stars are kind of weird how they dish them out because certain states they don't recognize as, you could be a 4-star in this state and a 3-star down here. And it's just weird how they do the whole star rating thing.
A 5-star anywhere else, but if you commit to Miami, they take one away from you.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean,
yes,
it's imperative to get the talent.
Yeah. So it says wide receivers could be one of the best groups in the country. Traders, Daniels, Moore, Tony. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
They got some good receivers. So when I hear guys talking about who Beck gonna throw it to, I ain't worried about that.
Nah. They got enough talent at wide receiver. Even if a guy out there having a bad game, they got somebody else that could plug in and go get it. So that's one of my least worries.
That's what the portal's for.
Right.
Plug and play. Not what Norvell did, build a whole team. Yeah, I got a superstar team that got 13-0, but as soon as old boy got hurt, and now he retiring from football.
Right. Yeah.
Old boy that was the quarterback. He already told the Jets he retiring.
He said, in each class, I think it's 35 stars. So yeah, that tells you it's not that many 5 stars in every class. So
for years, and you gotta remember, for years, Alabama was buying them all. Buying most of them.
Yeah, so you got to think if you got 100-something D1 universities trying to compete for just 35 stars, come on now, there's so much other talent out there that you can get,
You can't sleep on your 3- and 4-star dudes.
Right.
There's some 2-star dudes that are good.
Right. So yeah, 35 stars, that's not a lot. If you doing good basically in college football if you get 1,
I mean, you got old boy Scott, he was a 5-star.
Right.
I think with those linemen, Marioga and the Pancake Honcho, were they both 5 stars that Mario got? I believe they were. One of them was. One of them might have been 4. So it's going to be hard for Miami to compete. And we lost that one young dude to LSU. He decided to go to LSU because LSU threw him a bigger bag.
Yeah.
You got to
Max, I did hear that. He put out David Card. Yeah, he retired. I think I heard that this morning that he retired from today.
Wow.
I don't know what happened, but I don't know. I just read the headline that he retired. And that's crazy.
Wow.
I know.
Well, maybe he tired of getting hurt, man.
Yeah, it could be.
I was a big fan of old boy from Stanford that went to Indy.
Damn, I can see his name.
That man living his best life, married with 2 kids, and
hmm,
got his health right now because he was getting his ass beat
right.
behind that line at Indy.
I can't think of his name
And
right
he
now, but
was,
I know you're talking about.
dude would have been my favorite quarterback right now.
Right,
You know, he chose his health over playing. He got hurt too much. I might want to be up under the knife and y'all cutting on my spine.
right. All the time. It says number one offensive line, Carson Beck, top 3. One of the group's 5 running backs in the blocking tight end, 3 and top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Luck. There you go. Yeah, I
Andrew
couldn't think of his name. Yeah.
I was a big Luck fan.
Yeah.
So Luck smart. He got out, man.
Thank you there, Stanley.
And David Carr probably said the same thing.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'm tired of getting killed down here playing for these Saints. And
Yeah, and then last year, and I know we switched the subjects a little bit, but last year, remember he had the little breakdown at the microphone where he got to crying about something at their game, and it's so I'm not saying that's what's up, but just don't know what's going on in his life. What up there, 805 Canes?
what's going on, bro?
Yeah.
It's
850 Canes. I'm sorry about that.
hey, I ain't mad at him.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Florida State quarterback
yeah, he retired.
that got
Jordan
hurt.
Travis.
Yeah, he retired, man. He said, "I'm through."
Yeah.
I'm
And I
through.
don't know if he couldn't just make it back on the field because that was a pretty gruesome injury that he sustained.
Yeah, that was a terrible injury he took, man.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe he just couldn't make it, and maybe it was just a risk assessment thing, where he's just like, hey, it ain't even worth it no more. He'll be looking like Alex Smith, boy. I seen his leg, and I was like, good Lord.
I saw it too. I'm like, man.
I'm like, I just couldn't even deal with nothing like that. So, but the thing also, we were talking about the lineman and getting back to the Justice Scott thing. Yeah, so I'll go back to that since we got people in the chat where the guy was saying that he was garbage and all this stuff. And I was asking him, well, why would you say he was garbage in limited time and stuff like that? And he got back to talking about, of course, Mario not developing guys and stuff. And I just said, well, look, I say this year he's going to have ample amount of opportunity to show what he can do. He's a 5-star. I think he'll be okay. They're raving about him in spring practice too. So,
because he dropped like 10 pounds or 12 pounds of body fat.
right.
So he moving different, and he got really good hands, and he got really good footwork.
Yeah.
And he's showing you why he was. And they was talking like this dude could be the next coming at D tackle.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being optimistic versus saying, he garbage and
Yeah.
and going.
And, I don't too much call. Now I might call you a play garbage. You know what I'm saying? But but that's one thing. You say Mike Norvell needed his ass whooped for that one. There's no reason for Jordan Travis being in that game against that Division II school. Oh, I did forget it was against that. Yeah. I bet you looking back on that.
Norvell wanted his cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
He wanted his cake and eat it too. And look what it cost him.
Yeah.
You got embarrassed.
They said, from what I've read about the article, Carr's retirement, his right shoulder had a torn labrum and the genitive rotator cuff. Yeah.
That's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough to hang it up, dog. I'm done. I'm gonna go in this booth and make this money.
Yeah, because you're gonna get paid. He'll be somewhere out on the West Coast doing the games or something.
I got some millions already. I'm Gucci. I'm getting out of this before somebody kill me out here.
Yeah, because he'd have paid his dues. I mean, a lot of people, were down on Derek Carr, but I actually liked him. So,
man, Derek Carr was cold in college and high school.
Right.
Again, when you get to the NFL, you got, if your line ain't no good,
yeah, you're gonna get your head beat in.
These defensive ends and tackles today, dog, these some killers out here.
Yeah.
And they looking to break a quarterback back.
Yeah. Hence, that's why they got all the rules in there.
That's why they got them rules in there, because they know these dudes today, it's a whole bunch of Lawrence Taylors. It's a whole bunch of Derek Thompsons out here. They might not be putting up them kind of numbers, but they got that build and they got that motor and they coming to they coming to destroy your quarterback.
Right.
So if that line ain't blocking,
Right. Oh no, 850. We know you ain't no you like Mario. He said and bro, last week was a joke I made about Mario. I'm a huge Mario supporter. There's no better man for the job. Yeah, we know you was joking out there. So
it's some other ones that ain't though.
oh yeah, it's plenty of them that
Crying and shit.
yeah, be out there crying all day long. I'm getting texts all day long from them, and they telling me I'm riding them and all this stuff. So I just laugh at them. I'll just say, hey, man.
Who would you rather have? Lane Kiffin? Come on, man.
Yeah. And the funny part, I like Lane Kiffin too.
I like Lane. Lane cool,
but
was he going to be the right?
No, because Lane ain't. One thing I think about Lane, and I don't know him personally, I don't think he's loyal. That's what the Tennessee thing happened with Tennessee and all that stuff.
They took all that into account when they was looking for a coach. That's why Mark was the best option.
Yeah, you get Lane and shit. Lane will come down here, and then Lane got that personality too. So, it says potentially Miami Hurricanes team could be one of the best 10+ win teams in the ACC championship and go to the playoffs, win a few games, maybe national champions since 2003. Yeah, I just got to see it on the field. I mean, personally, like I say, I really want to see what this defense could do. I think offensively, you don't have to go out there and and duplicate last year.
You don't need to.
Yeah, you just got to be. I think they need to be more balanced anyway. As balanced as you can in college football, because really the running game is not what it used to be 10, 15 years ago. So,
and it could be a bright spot for Miami this year.
Yeah,
running game. It really could be a bright spot this year because, you got some really good running backs and you got a really good O-line. And that first game gonna say a lot against Notre Dame.
I agree. He said I would just like Mario to get his game management strategy right this season. I don't think it's.
Stanley, I think I can roll with that, bro. I can understand your cautious feelings about it because in year 1 and 2, Mario did make some bumbling errors with coaching and clock management. I just think last year he really improved. I can't recall a game last season where he messed up with timeouts or whatnot. Any of the play calling would fall on Shannon Dawson. And I think Shannon Dawson has gotten better each year.
Right. Okay. If I had to knock one thing with Shannon Dawson, I think later in the season when the team started playing too deep and they was going 8 and coverage and all that, I think he should have started picking up and running the ball a lot more. It's like
that'd be the one thing.
Yeah, that'd be the one thing that I just.
Okay. I agree with you, Dwayne, and I think that is something this year where, they'll adjust to that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the biggest adjustment Miami gonna have to make this year on offense is if they do run the ball or run the ball well, other teams are going to start to stack the box.
Right.
Now your playmakers come in.
Right.
Now your Elijah Lofton come in at tight end. Or if they put it somewhere else. This is where JoJo come in.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where whoever played the other slot and play the 2 receiver gonna come into play. If the running game gets to where it should be, teams are gonna start creeping up.
Right.
The linebackers are gonna get a little closer. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 of them safeties gonna come down a little bit more, get closer to that box.
Right.
Now you got some one-on-one opportunities on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm more of a fan of the I formation a little bit.
It's just weird because it's not a lot of them play it anymore. It says if
nobody. High school, college, or pro ball is the only one where you see quarterbacks still play under center. They all have not. NFL, they not on that shotgun every down, no matter where we are on the field. Shit. Yeah. They not doing that.
Like quarterbacks at a premium in NFL. It says if Lane, if it was Lane instead, do you think our offensive line play would be as good? No, because I just think Lane don't emphasize it like Mario does. Mario
Ole Miss line that great?
Yeah. No. They were
Was
good, but they weren't great.
Was Ole Miss line that great going up against other SEC team to protect their quarterback? What was his name?
Dort.
Yeah, what was his name? Darton or whatever his
Yeah,
name.
Dort. Uh-huh.
Yeah, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, Jackson Dort. Yeah.
So I mean, Jackson Dart was a good quarterback.
Right.
But any white boy with blonde hair and blue eyes that can throw the ball nice, him to be a star. I ain't saying that to be disrespectful. I'm just saying you play that part. Just like my man did in the movie with Denzel when they combined the two teams together.
Right.
He was from California with blonde hair, blue eye. He could be the gunslinger.
Hey, one thing I say about and this is more to Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin just a good offensive mind when it comes. Lane Kiffin could be just offensive coordinator, kind of like Chip Kelly. You know, that's the way I look at Lane Kiffin. He got that good offensive mind, you know, so that's what I look at.
He was for Saban.
Right, yeah. But you know, he want that limelight. It says if Cam Ward had a defense in last year, 2024 would have been ACC championship game, go to the playoffs, maybe. Yeah, we all agree there.
All right, we agree with that, but I'm gonna ask you and everybody else that's listening. Table last year.
Right.
It's okay to look back. I'm gonna tell you, like I told you last week, go to YouTube and look back.
Yeah.
And tell me, do you want to go through that shit again?
Oh man.
Do you want to go through another Cal, Virginia Tech, Duke, Wake Forest, Louisville?
Right.
These are games they won now. South Florida.
Right.
These are the games they won, but you sat there like
how are they even playing close?
Why are we struggling with Duke?
Yeah.
Why are we struggling with Wake Forest?
Right.
Because the other side of the ball couldn't stop a running nose. So
true.
So last year was cool.
Right.
It was great. It was fun. I was at the Virginia Tech game. That Hail Mary at the end, I know I would have been a mad some bitch they lost that game.
Oh man.
That would have ruined my trip, but it didn't.
Right.
And what ruined it was certain people calling me on the phone, and the first thing come out their mouth was they cheated, and all this.
Yeah.
You calling me long distance down here at the game had me mad because I went live on Facebook. I was mad.
Yeah, I remember that too.
I was
but
mad.
One thing they do need to fix, and I wish they get a control of, is these ACC refs. We haven't talked about them, but of all the games that I've seen in the ACC and the Big 10, Big 12, our refs are pretty bad. I can't figure this out, and it ain't got that just to do with Miami games. I'm talking about consistently bad the referees are in our conference. It's like, damn, where we getting these refs from? You know,
all over the conference,
right?
Not just Miami games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
every game.
Yeah,
inconsistent officiating.
Yeah, can
ruin the game.
And that was crazy. I've seen a lot of just bad calls, and I'm just thinking like, oh man. Oh, so have you seen any of Cam Ward in rookie camp? Okay, what did you think about him and some of his progress?
Along.
Yeah, like I said, I've watched a little bit of it, and I try to stay.
Remember Strepo coming along, so
yeah. I try to stay away from a lot of the media stuff, you know, that comes out because, you know, you still heard about that. Then, of course, you hear about the Shedeur. You don't even hear about Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel. You just hear about Shedeur, but you know behind the scenes, it's way more going on than just Shedeur doing good. I mean,
where did Dillon Gabriel go? Did he get drafted?
Yeah, he got drafted by the Browns in front of Shedeur. Yeah.
How much I pay attention to that?
Yeah, he got drafted in front of him. I think he went 3rd, and Shedeur went 5th round. If I'm correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So yeah, so they having a battle, and it is what it is. He said 850K said it's ridiculous. How the hell we don't have full-time paid referees in a multi-million-dollar operation? Yeah, that's a non. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't know. You know, I was a high school ref in high school for a while, and a lot of those guys, even in in college, they still have other jobs. So,
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's just
They just. I hope that that's something for the conferences and the NCAA to work out is to improve
yeah,
the play calling, not play calling, but the officiating rather.
yeah, and you would think so. It's like I say, it's bad in the ACC. I say there's a Shadur versus Gabriel video out there. Forgot the channel. I haven't watched it. Yeah, I try not to watch. It's because, and the reason why I tell you I don't watch it, it's because they try to form an opinion. You know, I'm getting this like they're trying to play the Shadur against Gabriel when they both just competing for jobs, and I just don't like that narrative that they're trying to put out there like it's Shadur against the world. No, you competing. You got drafted. You competing for a starting position in the NFL. That's what it all boils down to.
That's what it boiled down to. Nothing
You know,
else.
you know, but the media, ESPN, Spin, and a lot of other people, they just hyping it for a story. They're not. People think they're trying to do Shadur a favor. No, they're just trying to make money off Shadur back. You know what I'm saying? Because when the season starts, if he don't start, then you know how the pro football is. That don't get out anymore because they close ranks in the season. So you're not going to hear anything about, probably just people on YouTube, but the coaches and them are not going to talk about somebody that's not playing, So it's good right now, good to talk about, but yeah, I don't buy too much into it until I get to see them on the field, to see what they're going to do.
Right. I'm just, Cam is going to do his thing. Best of luck to him, and we'll be watching the Titans this year.
Yeah, he'll beat out Levis. I think he'll beat, because Levis still there, right? The guy out of Kentucky.
I believe he's still there.
Yeah, I think he'll beat out Levis. I mean, another quarterback got drafted out of Kentucky, and I think he out of Kentucky. He had a okay year that year, but I didn't think Levis was all that. Just to be honest,
he can't really throw that well to me.
Yeah, so
he remind me of that dude, the dude down in New Orleans.
That came out of South Carolina.
Number 7.
Spencer Rattler.
No, Spencer nice. I hope they give him an opportunity. I'm talking about the white boy that played.
Well, shit, they all white this down there. That's
a mix, man. But I'm talking.
Okay, yeah.
He the one that can play running back, play receiver, play quarterback.
You talking about the one that run the ball and stuff? What is his name?
I forgot his name. He played a little quarterback too.
Yeah,
that's who old boy for Tennessee remind me of.
Yeah, what is his name?
I forgot.
Man, another one. Somebody put it in the chat. They're talking about. He played multiple positions. Yeah.
For the Saints.
Yeah.
No, dude is good. I'll give it to him.
Right.
No, I hope Rattler gets his chance because I really thought Jameis should have been. It was really Bridgewater did really good when old boy got hurt.
Yeah.
They end up retiring.
Yeah.
When he was out and Bridgewater had to come in for the Saints, he had the Saints winning, man.
Jason Hill, I think his name is.
Yeah. Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was going to be Bridgewater's team because they didn't want to keep Jameis, and they, NFL is politics, man. I really feel like Jameis got, if he could have just stayed there.
Yeah, well, the thing with Jameis, he might get you 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. So that's the thing with
he ain't no worse than some of these other dudes.
True. That was the thing with Jameis. Jameis go out there, he might throw 4 touchdowns and throw 3 interceptions on you.
Then he didn't do bad with Cleveland. I mean, I watched the Monday night game in the snow when they beat the Steelers. I mean,
right.
It's Cleveland, man.
Roy, yeah. That Cleveland situation is going to be real interesting. But
yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that situation, I don't even pretend to know how Cleveland going to handle their situation. Somebody might wind up getting traded by the deadline, but I mean, I don't know. Something going to have to happen, down there. Like I say, I'm just focused on some of the guys that's left out of Miami and trying to check out as much as their camp as much as possible. So,
right. Couple guys went to the Jets, couple guys went to the Hawks.
It's just hard to, you don't get a accurate portrait of guys in mini camp because it's just, I mean, at rookie camp, it's just rookie camp. They ain't out there competing against the veterans or nothing like that. So,
Right.
you know, so it's just hard to kind of gauge. And that's why, like I said, and I didn't mean to bring, well, I did mean to bring Shedeur up, but that's what I'm saying. A lot of people try to, him throwing a 5-yard out to, oh, he's the starter. He throwing it against other rookies. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't judge what a guy go do out there at just rookie camp, you know?
Right, exactly.
So if we sit back on that, but I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up for today. I appreciate everybody that tapped in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button so we can get this out here in the air. Anything you want to say out there, E, before we get up out of here?
I want to say again, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Right.
And for those of us who have lost our mothers, you know, it's a bittersweet day. Every day a bittersweet day.
Right.
Again, to the fan base, to all my people out here watching, let's be optimistic. And I know I am. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not in a rush to get to it because that means, you know, as bad as we want the season to come, I still want to enjoy what's left of the spring and summer. So let's be cautiously optimistic when fall camp gets here, one day at a time. You know, follow the different things with fall camp.
Right.
With this fall practice, it's going to tell us a lot.
Right.
It's going to tell us a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. You know, I'm looking forward. By this time next weekend, we'll know where Jackson Cantwell is going.
We definitely will know that. We should know Tuesday. I think the 13th. I think it's the day I thought it was, but
he's gonna announce where he's going, and I feel a slight lean toward Miami.
Okay.
With Georgia. From what I've been hearing, Georgia ain't offering the same money as Miami, but money ain't the thing for him.
Right.
You know, it's more about, you know, I think Miami has the edge because he knows he's going to have 2 coaches versus 1, and they're going to get him developed.
Call on in next week. There, 8:05.
Yeah, man, call in for sure. I think Miami has the edge for Cantwell because of the coaching, the development. They know he can get him in the league. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I think Oregon then fell off. I know he went to Athens this week, and then that 5-star quarterback they got.
Right.
They trying to use him to help lure him in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, with all the talent Georgia got, I still don't think Georgia's they're gonna be there, but they're not gonna be.
I just ain't sold on Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, I'm just not sold on Gunnar Stockton. So
Georgia may have traded places with Alabama about, you know, as far as getting some of the top talent and whatnot, but you got other teams in the SEC that are really aspiring.
Yeah.
Missouri is one of them. South Carolina is one. I think Tennessee still want to get somehow.
Right.
I won't count out Ole Miss, even though I don't know they're going to have what it takes. Oh, and A&M in Texas, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and I ain't going to sleep on Oklahoma, even though I don't see them as SEC schools. They're there now. So you can't just think I'm going to go to Norman, Oklahoma, and it's going to be an automatic win. This is Oklahoma we talking about.
Right. And they can get some talent. They
can get talent. This ain't Oklahoma State.
Right.
You know, this ain't Fresno State.
Right. Right.
Oklahoma, man. So I don't think Georgia going to be they might have Georgia at the top of the SEC now, but I just, for some reason, I don't see them.
Yeah.
I just don't see them there, man. I just don't, you know, the way they shit on Beck, man.
Yeah,
I think
big time. Like I said, we know they did.
On Beck the same way Ohio State did their quarterback that went to Syracuse.
Yep.
So that might be what hurts them this season. Because I like Beck, man. I remember that when I was at the game in Miami, Virginia Tech, the next day was the Georgia-Bama game. And remember, Georgia jumped all out on them.
Right.
In the second half, Beck led that comeback, and it was like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And now they have it. I'm grateful that he came to Miami
Yeah.
because he could have went a number of places.
Yeah,
man.
he sure could have. And then, like I said, we're looking for him to have a great year.
Yep.
And hey, look, I see. Hey, if you got your kids out there, you got young kids like us. I call my kids young, even though they're in their 20s and 30s. But make sure that they got their mama some presents. Sometimes we got to remind our kids to do the right thing. You know, they get caught up in their stuff. So I'm just throwing it out there for you fathers out there. Make sure your kids call their mom.
Yeah, tell them, you know,
And wish the mom a happy Mother's Day, because you know how they can get.
Yeah, because when she gone, she gone.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. I appreciate everybody that's been in attendance. We'll be back here next week, same time, same place. We appreciate you.
Yep. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you
Next week.
Sunday.
All right. Bye.